Hello and welcome to Jazz Across the Pond. Jazz Interviews Reimagined, a brand new and a very exciting bringing together of two great nations. It's jazz talking like you've never seen or you've heard it before. Ladies and gentlemen, let's extend a warm welcome to my partner in crime on the other side of the pond. Let's see if he's there. And there he is, as if by magic. I push a button and he appears.
Story of my life.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Roger. How are you?
Oh yeah, really, really good. It's we in England. Autumn already is knocking on the door. The leaves are beginning to fall. The evenings are pulling in. But hey, we're here together and we're talking jazz. Could life be any better?
Well, it's still summertime here. I mean, it's 92 degrees today. So,
Lovely. Thank you very much for that.
yeah, I knew you'd appreciate that. But it's like I told you, my ancestors left England for that very reason. There's better weather in the United States.
Anyway, a warm,
Oh,
well, it may be warm in America, it's not warm here. A warm welcome to Jazz Across the Pond, Jazz Interviews Reimagined with me, Roger Lee, aka the Jazz Cat from the United Kingdom.
and I'm Kevin Goolsby, and they call Mr. G, and I am from the United States of America.
You certainly are, yeah. And Mr. G, Mr. G. Okay, here's one for you then. Mr. G, the bullet to my train.
Oh, wow. So I'm the bullet to your train.
Yep.
Bullet to your train. Well, okay. Well, I know it's not this, but I'm going to throw it out there. So as the creator and host of a weekly jazz program on Facebook and a top 10 smooth jazz playlist on Spotify,
Woohoo.
both called the Smooth Jazz Train, mate, I would say better the bullet to your train than the bullet to mine.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
But I do know that today's guest is from Japan. So my guess is, since the Japanese are on the forefront of high-speed, passenger train technology, the Jazz Cat must have some. I'm going to speaking to the audience now, not you. Obviously, the Jazz Cat has some information on high-speed trains from Japan.
No, I've been on it, and it was.
Have you really?
Oh yeah. I've been to Japan a few times, and
Well, I knew that, but I never knew you'd got on a bullet train.
I've been on a bullet
holding
train.
out on me.
The Jazz Cat, he's gone. And we went to Nadine, my wife, and myself, and we traveled around, and we went to Disneyland in Tokyo, and it was the best thing in the world because it was brick for brick the same, but it was all Japanese. So we were sitting there going, okay, it was so wonderful. But anyway, that's another story. So that's another story. So anyway, listen. Last week, talking about what a great world. I mean, wonder world. What a wonderful world. Last week, our guest star.
Unbelievable. I tell you what, just so that our audience knows, last week's guest was British-born, Los Angeles, California-based jazz guitarist Chris Standring, a favorite of the Jazz Cat and Mr. G, whose projects have been so impressive. And I'm not saying that because I'm a big fan, but the diversity of his music, his style, his creativity, every project is solid. As a matter of fact, in the last 5 years, Chris has been the only jazz artist to capture more spots on Billboard's year-ending smooth jazz charts. I think he's been on 8 times. There's nobody that has had more spots on Billboard's year-ending charts than Chris. That just shows you not only how prolific he is, but how strong his music is.
Absolutely. His new album, his 14th album, and actually you hit him with those stats last week, and he questioned you, went, are you sure? And I get this feeling he scurried off and checked and went, wow, I didn't realize that. I mean, he's so humble. He's such a wonderful gentleman. I mean, if you're fans of Chris Standring, I mean, or you should, because 14 Solo, we played a track from one of our favorites. I mean, it's very hard to pick a favorite, but we picked a track from Blue Bolero, which, from 2010, we love. But of course, his brand new album is called, there it is, and it's the most wonderful album called Wonderful World, and it's classic. It's like the American Songbook. There's standards on it. There's tracks from Cole Porter, from Burt Bacharach, Harold David, right up to Donald Fagen, and the strings were recorded at Abbey Road here in the United Kingdom, and we had him on, and it was a great interview. And what a one! I've been privileged. I've interviewed him twice now, and absolutely brilliant. Well, the phones are going like mad here, so everybody's really excited. So Brilliant album, well worth adding to the Christmas list. If you want to get yourself a nice little stocking filler, you won't go far wrong with that. Anyway,
Well,
that was
but the other thing though, just for our viewers, because if they haven't been listening to our shows, I mean, it's amazing. We've had several artists that have had projects where they act like the front for a symphony. I mean, we saw that with the Yellow Jackets, with the big band from Berlin.
Yep.
We saw it with we've seen several artists that have done it. What Chris has done that's different is he keeps the jazz trio.
Yes.
So he'll be he obviously on all the tracks, guitars, his project, but he'll have a bass player and a drummer. But it's that trio that sits out in front of the orchestra.
Yeah,
that is brilliant. That's what I love about it.
I agree wholeheartedly. It is a brilliant album. Chris is a wonderful guitar. I mean, I actually refer to him as the Picasso of the jazz world. And I think he sat there and went, what? And I had to explain what I meant. When I explained it, he took it as a total compliment. He went, well, thank you very much. I mean, and we really did mean it, because whether it's any one of his albums, he seems, if he's done one album, he goes, right. And he goes, he doesn't like to be stereotyped into one particular type. He'll go, well, I'll do this now. I'll do a bit of soul. I'll do a bit of blues. And it's like, wow, it's just mind-blowing. You like the movement?
Well, I'll tell you what's crazy. So people know that this is not scripted. Let me grab something to show you, because I think it's funny when you said that if I'd been quick, I would have done this when you called him the Picasso. Hang on.
Don't say you got an original Picasso.
We had a huge exhibition here at the Virginia Museum here in Richmond, world-class museum. And we had a huge Picasso show. Now, if we had said to Chris, you're the Picasso, and then said, yeah, this is what your music looks like.
Now, you're not going to tell me that's an original.
No. This is the whole catalog from the exhibition.
Anyway, listen.
But I do have an original, but I won't show it to you.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, we've got to, because in a minute we're going to be turning into an art show and talking about art and all the rest of it. Let's rein it back in. Ready? Let's rein it back in.
Oh, okay. This way.
Right. Okay, we're back in the box. So it's Jazz Across the Pond, and tonight we are. We alluded to this one about 6-7 weeks when we first approached our feature artist tonight, and we were going through the management and the rest of it, and it was like, is it going to happen? And suddenly, about 2 weeks ago, we got the green light, and it was on, and we both went fabulous. A beautiful young lady, had 28 albums or something like that.
No.
I mean, it's an incredible catalog about it. Originally from Tokyo, Japan. And now lives in Los Angeles, and she's just appeared via the bullet train. She's just appeared in the. She just appeared literally on the speed of light. Literally, she's there in our green room at the moment. We can't wait to talk to her, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be playing a track from the most beautiful Keiko Matsui, and we can't wait. The album we're going to be featuring is a track, and it's called Echo, and I'm not going to say
what? No,
I'm not going to play. That's a corny joke, and I'm not going to do it.
Oh, come on, Roger, give me a break.
It's Echo.
Okay,
right?
Now you're doing it. What?
Hey,
we're both excited about this interview. That's pretty obvious. I mean, I've got goosebumps.
Oh, look at that. Put them away. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jazz Across the Pond, Jazz Interview Room. We are so excited about it, like we are every week. I mean, no exception to the rule. But she's in the rating room, and we're going to be playing a track from this most wonderful album, Echo. And the track we're going to play is called Moon Over Gotham. And we're looking forward to this. Have a listen to this. If you're already a Keiko Matsui fan, and you're used to some of her earlier stuff, and you may go, wow, this is a bit different. But we're going to find out why this one is a little bit different. Still brilliant, don't get us wrong. But why it's a little bit different, and we're going to be expanding and finding out exactly why. Again, another great move, and let's go off on a bit of a tangent and then try this. Fabulous album. Have a listen to this, and we'll be back with the lovely lady herself. It's Jazz Across the Pond with Mr. G and myself, the Jazz Cat. This is the wonderful Keiko Matsui from the album Echo, and this is Moon Over Gotham. We'll be back with the lady herself in just a moment.
Hi, this is pianist and composer Keiko Matsui. Originally from Tokyo, Japan, and living in Los Angeles, California. And you are watching me on Jazz Across the Pond with the Jazz Cat and Mr. G. I hope you enjoy.
Well, what can I say about that incredible piece of music? It's Moon Over Gotham. It's the wonderful album Echo, and we are so delighted to have the lovely lady herself joining us here on this week's interview. What can we say about this week's very, very special guest? A multi-talented, internationally acclaimed pianist, composer, and humanitarian. A very talented, beautiful, delightful, and delectable young woman. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join Jazz Across the Pond with myself and with Kevin as we extend a very, very warm welcome. Originally from Japan, now lives in Los Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the wonderful Keiko Matsui. Hi there.
Woohoo!
Hello. Hi,
Hello,
Kevin. So great to seeing you here. Thank you for
Mr.
having
G.
me.
Mr. G is very honored and
G.
humbled to
Mr.
have you on the show.
And,
Thank you
and
very
for myself, Roger Lee, as well.
Thank you.
Okay, now, before we start the interview, all right, and I've just surprised Kevin, and I turned around and I said, I've got a little something which I wanted to show to Keiko. I want to just show her this. In a minute, she'll go, I know exactly what that is.
Yes, very special mug. Good
Yes,
mug.
right.
For sake.
Exactly. Now,
Mhm.
when I was entertainment manager on the cruise ships, and I did 3 world cruises, and one of the cruises I've been to Japan several times, but one of the cruises we docked in Osaka, and we were the first ever cruise ship to dock in Osaka, and all the dignitaries from Japan came on board, and I represented the British part of the crew, and because I was entertainment manager, they said, would you come up? And I had to you know, to all the curves. And then we were given one of these and they filled it with sake. I had 3 cups of it. I don't remember the rest of the evening. The rest of the evening was a blur. But anyway, so just to let you show, how about that? See, there we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. Right. Okay. Keiko, our researchers on both sides of the pond and in Asia, they've done a sterling job this week compiling information about your good self. Born and raised in Tokyo, and you were born in Tokyo, Japan. Your mother, Amiko?
Yes,
Good.
Emiko.
Amiko, and took you to your first piano lesson just after your 5th birthday. Japanese tradition holds that a child who is introduced to lessons at this time will continue and continue their studies throughout school years. You then, that tradition maintained with you, and you loved it, and you had a passion for playing piano. Through your early training, although your training was focused primarily on classical music, and your junior high school, you came across a word called jazz, and you went, I like this. This is quite nice, this jazz. I like classical, but I like jazz. Keiko, for our followers, would you please tell us more about your wonderful early years in Tokyo, Japan, starting to play piano, and your influences on jazz piano, please?
Okay. Yes, so I very naturally, like very common mother take you to piano lesson. And my mother was a Japanese traditional dancer, like wearing kimono and Nihon Buyo, which is called. And she wanted me to do that, but I didn't show any interest. So when I started piano lesson, she never said practice piano because I loved it. But I was very active child, and in elementary school I did school president kind of thing, and also in the sports and studying. And besides that, I started knowing that different music like movie soundtrack, pops, and rock, because my mom loves music and she had the vinyl at home. So I started listening to, and in elementary school, I started writing very, very little short melody, like writing diary. When I have a special trip, school trip to beautiful lake, and then I made a song called Green Lake kind of thing. but I didn't imagine that I want to become professional musician or anything. And then junior high school, I started to take more extra private lessons for the music theory. And I started ear harmony and writing those lessons when I started from 5 years old. So that was kind of very rare teacher I had. So fortunately, so I loved it. And just I continued like that. And then in junior high, I had a special lesson at the Yamaha Music Foundation.
Yes.
And so there were some students from all over Japan, and we had a special training class. And one of that was writing for the band and also commercial, like music production progress.
Yeah, right.
I learned. And then when I was in around first grade in high school, the director approached to Yamaha, and I had opportunity to compose for the movie soundtrack. And it was a serious movie soundtrack. Yeah. It's called Drifting from Toho. Toho is the biggest, very legendary company. And so when I met the director, he gave me the book, and also he told us about his image. And then suddenly when he was talking about this script and the story, immediately this intro came to me, and then melody came to me. So that was quite interesting moment, because at the music class, I was trying to compose. Of course, in elementary school, I was just from inspiration, I wrote some small songs. But after school, learning lessons started, I kind of feel like, oh, after this class is over, I'm gonna stop. I don't want to compose anymore, right? But at that time, with the director's story, immediately I received, and he chose my theme for the main theme for the movie.
Wow.
And so we went to see the first, premiere.
Yes.
And with the industry people, and I hear my music with orchestra, and the final this end roll has my so
what a
and
moment.
that time I found this, like music and the visual is not 1 + 1 = 2, 1 + 1, but infinite.
Yes.
So then I found my interest towards that genre.
Wow.
Very, very good.
So, but still, I didn't think about becoming professional musician, but I had a very special opportunity to record sample album for Yamaha stereo system when I was in college. And so that was the first recording I did in US. And that time on drums, Vinnie Cariuta. On bass, Nathan East. On guitar, Paul Jackson Jr. And Steve Foreman on percussion.
Yeah.
So just a very special miracle happened.
Right.
Kevin, I know you're keen to ask a question.
Yeah, well, Keiko, we've talked about some of this. Obviously, you studied children's culture at Japanese Women's College, and you furthered your music education, as you had mentioned, with the Yamaha Music Foundation. But what we didn't mention is that you started a band called Cosmos, which, and you actually recorded 4 albums with Cosmos. But then you recorded your debut project, A Drop of Water, in 1987. You then signed with MCA. And you released albums No Borders and Under Northern Lights. I think it was in 1992. But what was amazing was in 1995, you released Sapphire.
Mhm.
Sapphire was
Yes.
your first album to reach #1 on Billboard's contemporary jazz chart. What's
Oh, that's
amazing
right.
is that, yes, and if you would be so kind, share with our viewers at what point did you actually move to the United States, and how did your time here in America impact your music stylings or your composing process? In other words, how has your music evolved since you've been here in the United States?
Yes. Well, lots of progress I had, but
Yeah.
in '86 I moved to US because of my personal life had changed, and I made the album A Drop of Water, which
Yes.
became my debut album. But
Mhm.
I thought that was just only for the memory and only one and the last one. Yes, that's the one. And for that album, because I had a memory, great memory with Nathan and Vinny, so I
Mhm.
invited them for that recording. And then that time actually it was I didn't think about having career in US, but when we send some cassette demo, not demo tape, completed project,
Yeah.
Yes.
and then one day I was in Tokyo and we received a phone call from Dave Grusin, and
Oh.
this was didn't go completely, but he loved the album A Drop of Water, and he said he would love to sign for GRP.
Yes.
So for me, like Dave Grusin, oh my gosh, right?
Absolutely.
But that time between Japan and the US and all these maybe company thing, I'm not sure, but that didn't go through. But I was lucky enough to release the album from independent label, and then I was told you should start your live show. So my
Yes.
first concert in US was at Santa Monica, and the place called At My Place. And I worry about if the audience is coming or not. Then, yeah, really. And then I heard that, wow, audience are lining
Yes.
for 2-3 blocks.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. And that time I had a great special guest who is Carl Anderson, who is
Ooh.
heaven already, but he sang the title track, A Drop of Water.
Yeah.
And I had a great memory for first show. And since then, gradually, I signed with a booking agent, and I have, that time I have a manager.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
just gradually started. And when I found, in '87, I released a Drop of Water, and Tower Record chose the recommended album for July 4th. And I went to Tower Record on Sunset, and I took a picture. Wow, my album is there. Yeah,
Excellent.
so it was a great start.
Oh,
And then,
No, it's
sorry.
just I mean, incredible. I mean, Dave Grusin, for anybody, I mean, Dave Grusin of GRP, which is Grusin Rosin Productions, and I mean, to have a man like that turn around and go, wow, you know, yeah, you're fabulous. And that. Okay, now your production, because I'm consciously aware of time, and we want to play another piece of your music in a moment, okay? Your production, you produced your own album, The Road, in 2011, and then you then did you did a duet album with the wonderful Mr. Bob James on an album in the same year of that. So please tell our followers, very briefly, please tell our followers about taking up the mantle as producer, because you've got a wonderful collection of albums from the 1980s, 90s. Then suddenly you then took up the mantle of producing yourself. Now that must have been a scary moment for yourself, but you did it fabulous, because The Road is a wonderful album.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's really scary, but at first, I put lots of pressure when I was composing. And for me, melody is very important. And I want to write like a classical song or jazz standard. They stay for centuries and still fresh to ear, right? So I wanted to write like that. And then when I start composing, and then first pressure, and then secondly, I found that I have a infinite possibility, and I have a white canvas, and I have the route to release album, and my fans are waiting. So you are so spoiled, you are so lucky, and why you cannot write? And then I start receiving it, and I squeeze down from that 100 of motifs, and I squeeze down to 10, and then finally go to studio. That kind of progress I'm always doing.
Brilliant.
Right.
Well, what we're going to do now, because there's lots of listeners all over the world. Your name is synonymous all over the world, and there may be a few people that may be going, oh, I love that first track you played. Can we hear another piece from the album? So the album is called Echo, and we're now going to play the title track from the album, Echo, with the lovely Keiko Matsui. We'll be straight back with this interview because it's the most wonderful interview, and there's so much more Kevin and myself want to explore with yourself. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jazz Across the Pond, we are so proud to have the lovely lady herself sat in her apartment in Los Angeles, and she'll be back with us any moment now, and we're just going to sit back and enjoy this wonderful track. Here's a bit of Echo for you.
Welcome back to Jazz Across the Pond. Jazz interviews reimagined with the Jazz Cat and Mr. G. We've been listening to the title track from our special guest, impressive 2019 project Echo, composed by Miss Keiko Matsui. So Keiko, Echo, as we mentioned, is your 24th solo album, and it's been a pleasure watching you grow over the years as a performer, a composer, and a producer. If you would share with our viewers what brings you the most satisfaction. Is it performing, composing, or production, or do you view the three as being balanced in equal parts of who you are as an artist?
Yeah, it's hard, and I'm so not convenient person to balance. How to say in English? But when I make album, I have to stop the tour because it's so different brain I use. But the most importantly for me, among these 32 years of my career, with the experience of performing in many parts of the world, I really found that music is a gift from somewhere above, and to put our mind together. So beyond the culture, language, religion, all the differences, and always I feel very fortunate. So, and my music has the magic. And for me, my mission of this life, I noticed for later of my career, my mission is catching melody and making album and delivering to perform that and travel with my music is my mission to make more peaceful air on this planet. So that is my core special thinking.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, now we have a lot of followers on Just Across the Pond all over the world who read every week when we get to who they're going to be interviewing this week and that. And there's a lot of people very excited about the fact that you've agreed to come and join us on the show. And we've got a question from one of your big fans, and it's Todd and Leslie from St. Cloud in Florida. And I know they would love for you to say hi to them. So Todd and Leslie, if you'd be good, say hello to them, would you?
Hi, Tom.
Todd and Leslie.
Todd and Leslie.
There we are. Okay. They got a question. They've come to us because they're fully aware that you're a lover of nature, as we've elaborated to, and a lot of your albums make reference to plants, animals, and elements and other natural features, and that's very strong with yourself. So their question that they come forward, they said, "Hi, Roger and Kevin. Always love your interviews. Now, please say hi to Keiko. Could you ask her your wonderful album, Full Moon and On the Shine," which is a brilliant album. That one there, see it there? That's a great album, and it was from 1998. And listening to the tracks, there was a feeling that what was the central theme behind that album, and was there a story, like what was the backstory behind releasing that album? They love all your albums, but that particular one, they love that album.
Wow, great to hear. Well, yes, that particular title track, Full Moon and the Shrine, that was made for the special TV program. Actually, for US, I did a PBS special program, and for that, the title track, we went to Japan, and at the Shinto Shrine, very famous national treasure, Itsukushima Shrine in Hiroshima, and I did a special movie shooting at the shrine, and we brought the piano, and because that shrine is stood in the ocean.
Yeah.
So when the high tide completely covered, but the low tide, you can see the land there. So they brought the piano when the low tide, and the night of full moon. Yeah, night of the full moon. We the director from US, but he's South African movie director. He pictured by the real film, and I played that title track with a Kyogen dancer, which is Japanese traditional dancer.
Yeah.
And it was a mystic moment and mystic project. So with that title track, I made for album, and which include Forever Forever. That became another my kind of fan favorite song, and
Excellent.
it's included too.
A fabulous answer. Todd and Leslie, I hope you're happy with that answer. And that's
Thank you.
that's a word. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Then I'm going to hand you back to Kevin. All right. So, Echo, your new CD, it's an all-star lineup, including Gretchen Parlato, Marcus Miller on bass, Kirk Whalum, and we also got Kyle Eastwood, the son of Clint Eastwood, on the album. I mean, incredible. Yes. A very strong spiritual quality of the album, and it brings together a lot of creative projects. We would love, our followers would love to know, tell us the backstory behind this album, because when I heard a couple of years ago, I heard that album and I thought that was an incredible, blew me away, absolutely blew me away. That album there is a journey to the heart. Then you come up with this one. So very briefly, because I'm conscious aware of time, what was the backstory behind the Echo album then, please? And because you composed all the tracks.
Pardon? Sorry.
You composed all the tracks.
Yes, all of my original composition. And so as usual, I collect many motifs and I squeeze down to this 10. And this is very special because I invited all my artist friends from my early career. So Jimmy Johnson and Vinnie Cariuta, and Robin Ford on guitar for blues song, and a newer friend with who is Marcus Miller and Gretchen Parlato, whom I met first on the cruise ship because I had lots of cruise shows. And since then, so happy to say, like, yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Marcus Miller too. I'm a fan of everyone. But anyway, so this is like a great reunion for me, and from my early career and the current career, and Kirk Whalum is my buddy, and we started a collaboration show this year. So, and on this, when we did a recording at the United Record, everyone has great skills, genius skills, but at the same time, we hear each other, and it's really heartwarming. And so every cut, I was so happy. And after heard Marcus's overdub on the title track, Echo, that time I was not thinking which one is a title track. But after I heard Marcus playing, and oh my gosh, this is the title track. And because I named it Echo, because this album captured everyone's heart and so much spirit in it. And it's enhancing in the album. That's why I named it Echo.
Right.
Fabulous. Kevin.
Yes, Keiko, one of the things that I wanted to bring up while we had time is, and I'm so impressed with this, Roger mentioned that you are a humanitarian, and I want to make certain our viewers are aware. In 1997, so our viewers know it, Keiko launched a tour dedicated to raising awareness of breast cancer, and released a 4-song CD entitled A Gift of Hope that benefited the Why Me Breast Cancer Organization. Now, the other thing is that Keiko's music was also predominantly featured in Say It, Fight It, Cure It, which was a Lifetime channel special profiling several courageous women who were battling breast cancer. So driving awareness of breast cancer is a noble, noble cause, and I applaud you for that. If you would, share with our viewers how you became involved in this life-saving outreach program. It was in the late 90s, and how awareness fosters early detection, which along with improved therapeutics and treatments has reduced the mortality rate of breast cancer in Japan since the 90s. So number one, thank you for your involvement, but tell us a little bit more about that humanitarian effort of yours.
Okay, thank you for mentioning that, because I feel I'm very fortunate. I'm a woman and mother and traveling all over the world with my music, and I'm still healthy. And so always I wanted to give something back through the music. And because as a performer, I had many opportunities, and I received I received contact from sometime UN for hunger against Africa and breast cancer awareness and national donor marrow program. And especially if I say about the breast cancer awareness, I lost my school friend, elementary school friend. She was 30 years old and just too late, right? And then also I found that there's some difficulty of the life. The woman cannot go to the early detection. So I felt, wow, this is important to announce about that. So I made a tour and I did a press conference and to make awareness. So whenever I have opportunity like that, I would like to dedicate to music. Only I can do is just playing my music. So if I have I found that kind of cause, I research and if it's important and I have been doing. And now I started charity work for the children. And I started in Peru in 2014 and did a workshop and solo piano charity concert and children who are sacrificing and no water, no electricity, and having hard time and sometimes getting to a little bit dark side. But the person organizer believed in me, and if he or she hear your music, they will find hope, and you can connect to your music and the light. So I'm grateful and honored to dedicate my music for that. And I'm doing next year, I will do in Paraguay. So I'm really excited about that too. And with the orchestra too.
Oh, very good.
Well, Kevin, myself, and the rest of the world, we applaud you and we take our hat off to you for doing such an amazing job, an utterly amazing job. Just mind-blowing. It is incredible. We've got around about 7 or 8 minutes left. There's Kevin. Have you got another question you'd like to ask, please?
Yes, and this is more of a for me. It's a question that I'm classically trained on 2 instruments, the clarinet and bassoon.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, bass clef, treble clef, single reed, double reed. You know, hey, multi-talented kind of guy. But the one thing that I want to ask you though is, we were talking earlier about blending world music. A lot of artists are doing that now, and what I find fascinating is being able to take Western music and then, as you have done, taking sort of an Eastern philosophy and applying that toward composing. But the one thing that I've always been curious about, so, we know that you were classically trained in piano and you developed an appreciation of jazz in high school, as we talked about earlier. Now, both of those are Western genres. So my question to you, have you played any traditional Japanese musical instruments? And here's why I ask, because I wonder, how does your ear reconcile the structural differences between Japanese music, which is predicated on quarter tones, versus Western music, which is built on half tones? I know that a lot of people that have never heard Japanese music, it sounds to them like it's sharps and flats, and because of the quarter tones. Conversely, people from Japan that maybe have only heard the Japanese music, but hard to believe, but maybe have not heard Western music, there's a different reaction to the way it sounds. So how did your ear over time reconcile the differences between music, your traditional music that you would have heard as a child, which is again predicated on quarter tones, versus Western music, which is predicated on half tones?
Whoa.
Wow. Serious question.
Yes.
Well, but as you know, piano is already Western music.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
I started that and I didn't show interest towards mom's Japanese traditional world. So of course I was hearing koto or that kind of music, but I was just naturally listening to more Western or classic music.
Yes.
And of course I have small hand, very rich to octave. So I'm not good for the classical piano. I mean, classic songs, but still I love to listen to. And for me, music has no borders, no genre. And maybe spiritually, because I was raised in Japan, and I lived in Hiroshima for 3-4 years, and all these nature inspired me. So that's why you found many titles with the nature.
Yes.
And anyway, so spiritually, maybe I have lots of Japanese influences, but musically, maybe somewhere I have inspiration, but instrumentation wise, I just whenever I receive the melody and I developed, and I just think about this song needs what, and I hear sometimes Corqueron taking this melody, or Marcus play this bass. So each song has difference. So I'm composing for next album, but I don't know where I go, because just I just have a white canvas, and there are like now 50 songs candidate, and still I'm open to receive anything. So I don't know which direction I go, but
Excellent.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying no between Western or Eastern.
Yes.
And just world music, sometimes world music. And long time ago, I did the performance at the Poly Jazz Festival in Finland. And that time, main stage, 30,000 audience. That was like early 80s, 90s, maybe. Yeah. And Jamiroquai and Oz Scaggs and Keiko Matsui, three of us hit the stage on same stage. That was quite special. And
that was in Finland.
Yeah, Finland.
Okay, we are seriously running out of time. I would carry on this conversation all the time. Very quickly. Now, where can our followers and where can they buy, download, or obtain your wonderful album and your back catalog? Where can they get hold of it, Keiko?
Thank you very much. I have social media, Keiko Matsui Jazz on Instagram and Facebook, Keiko Matsui, and Twitter. And I'm trying to post many message and photos from the show. So I hope you can find me, and also I hope I can see you at the concert someday near future. And of course, all these Amazon or Spotify. I think I'm not good with these things, but
they're all there.
You can find.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we finish, I would say that I spent 5 years on the cruise ships as entertainment stage manager, and I think my dream would have been you coming onto the cruise with your musicians, and I was your stage manager, and that would have made me complete. I would have been that would have been incredible. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are listening to the fabulous Keiko Matsui, her entire collection. You won't go wrong with any of the albums. I mean, I said that album there, that I just love that one, Journey Time, but then this one has surpassed it. It's called Echo. It's been a delight to talk to you. It has been an absolute pleasure. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Say goodnight, Kevin.
Good night, Kevin.
Good night.
Good night from me, Roger Lee, the Jazz Cat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next week, the wonderful Pat Kelly's with us. Another great interview. From everybody here, bye-bye.